Well, hey everybody! Welcome to a very haggis-filled episode of Small Town Failing Podcast. I am joined this episode by the one and only Andy Helmkamp. I think that sounds right. I feel like if I just say it quick enough, then it'll just kind of blend in. It's Helmkamp, right? Helmkamp.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, this is part of the reason why I thought we should do this. Well, I mean, like, you offered this movie. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a new release and everything, but we had to pick, like, the two least Scottish sounding last names to, like, talk about a Scottish movie. I love it.
And mine actually, the story. Charnews. It used to be like Charnauskis or something. Like it was pronounced that way, but there were like Z's and things in there.
Oh, dude,
Um,
same. Like, I have, like, extra P's and F's and shit that, like, are nowhere near my name now.
but it was not like my relatives came over and at Ellis Island they changed the name because it was too hard. It was literally my great great grandfather changed the last name because they kept getting our taxes wrong. So it's like, you know what? Just forget it. Like we'll just make it this. And like that's the story of my my people.
Oh, it's
What
a
are
total admin move. I love it.
Yeah, 100%. Like and now like doing what I do, I feel like it's like been handed down to just how to make people's lives easier when doing paperwork. But to what Andy said, we are discussing a Scottish love scheme, which is a 2024 brand new Hallmark movie. It just premiered last weekend, directed by Heather Hawthorne Doyle, written by Gina Azi. I hope I'm saying that right. Mostly because she followed the account on Instagram, and I was very excited to have someone from the actual movie, link up. So I'm assuming she's listening, giggling, having a great time, enjoying this banter. And I don't want to mispronounce her name, so I hope I didn't. But Andy, what is because we sent these back and forth and like a few other options and we landed on this. And I never even thought to ask, you're not Scottish, right? Like of Scottish descent. You're I want to say Irish, Polish, Eastern
Oh
European
yeah,
of some
like
kind.
I'm that kind of like typical like American white that's like a little
Hmm.
bit of everything like European.
Yeah.
My parents did like a 23andMe like a couple of years
Yeah.
ago, which in turn is now my 23andMe because I will never pay for it myself or
No.
do it on my own. So apparently we're like a lot of Scandinavian too, which
Ah.
tracks because we're very pale people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Leslie and I have both done them, and Leslie's was kind of fascinating because there's just a lot going on there. There's like a ton of different things. She's Puerto Rican. She was born in Puerto Rico, but just like a melting pot of all these different cultures. And we're like, this is great. And then I did mine a little bit before hers, mostly because I wanted to like find out that I had just like a tinge of Norwegian so I could like have the Norway pavilion in Epcot and like buy the merchandise there. Um, but my parents have always told me we're 50% Lithuanian, 50% Polish. Like both of my parents are that too. And when I got the results, it literally said, no, you're Lithuanian and you're Polish, and that's it. And shut up. There's nothing more. Um,
Cut and dry.
but 2 years later, just recently, I did like they're constantly sending updates of like, oh, you have a new match of this person who's probably not real, but if you pay for our subscription, you can talk to them. Um, they did send me an update, and as of about 6 months ago, I am like 1% Norwegian. Like I don't know how that came or like where, but now I feel like I'm in. So it felt nice.
Oh, that's wild. That's
It's
wild.
great.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know, like in particular I think that and get ready for a lot of like me not understanding the difference between like the
Oh,
United Kingdom and Britain and like
hmm,
all of that stuff. I mean like I'm going to try my best. I'm sure I'm going to fuck it up. Excuse me, mess it up. I keep
oh,
forgetting this is like a PG audience maybe.
it
PG 13.
absolutely is not. Like it's you can say whatever you want. Like it's
Okay,
totally
cool.
fine.
Radical. So not Hallmark rated. I got it. But yeah,
I
no,
like
like
to think of myself as the fucking bad boy of the Hallmark verse.
that's right. That's right. And I can't believe I forget it because that's why you have the branded temporary tattoos for all of the
Exactly.
Hallmark grandmas that like love this stuff.
I do have a scented candle tramp stamp that I've recently got, like on my lower back. So
Yeah, it actually says believe around it too.
live, laugh, love.
Do all those things with Joe.
Yeah, Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, it's funny that we're talking about this because it does remind me of how, that Anglophile kind of
Mhm.
like how incredibly like into the idea of like coming from particularly the United Kingdom, a lot of like, you know, like white folks in the United States are, and like, yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah.
And this movie, I mean, so I think we said a Scottish love scheme takes place in Scotland. Like they're over there, they're doing it. So like it's in the thick of things. So I don't know. It was super interesting to me, like this movie, and a lot of fun. And we'll kind of get into it. But first, since you're in just outside Milwaukee or in the Milwaukee area, I am
Right
just
in the middle of it,
outside of
baby.
Chicago. So right now, both of us are in the thick of just the worst, like hellscape of cold that you can ever imagine. We were talking before. I lost power over the weekend for a few hours. You've been lucky enough, but like, how are you hunkering in with the awfulness that's going on?
See, I absolutely love this. This is like my favorite thing. I
Hmm.
mean, like, don't get me wrong, like a -20 wind chill is pretty intense,
Not great. Yeah.
but our neighborhood, like our neighbor has been here for like 40 years.
Hmm.
And so he's got like all kinds of stories. And during the height of like the snowfall, I'm pretty diligent about shoveling our block, mostly because I like the exercise of it.
That's my all. Everyone in my neighborhood has gotten plows and stuff or snow blowers, and we've been in this house like 8 or 9 years at this point. I refuse because it is. It's like I feel amazing when I come back inside because you're very accomplished, right? Just seeing like a blank driveway, but then also I love mowing the lawn, and this time of year you don't get to do that. So like shoveling is the one activity you can get outside. But yeah, sorry, I cut you off. Continue.
Oh no, no, I love it too because it's like your chest hurts, your
Mhm.
legs hurt. It's the best. But the day after that, I was talking to my neighbor in the backyard as we were filling up our bird feeders because I'm domestic as hell now.
Mhm.
And his response was like, you could leave some of that snow for me. I like to get exercise too. So now we're
Ooh.
kind of like on a schedule where like he's going to get it during certain days and I'm going to get it during other days. And I love it.
Oh. Yeah, this time around was tough. I was out there early and kind of cleared off because we got like a ton of snow, and I don't want to leave it till when there's like 3 feet and I'm out there with a shovel. So I just go out and do it. But my driveway is disgusting now because like the wind overnight blew everything, and then it got down to like -20, so everything froze, so you can't shovel it anymore. So now I'm just like I'm ashamed of like what people are driving by, but on the flip side, I also don't, particularly care.
Yeah, you made a nice luge for your driveway. It's fine.
Exactly. And if I break my leg or something, maybe I'll get a couple days off work. So it's kind of a win-win. Um uh anyway, that's been shovel talk, a new segment on the show. But
We
we
got
can get into the movie.
steel core, all kinds of stuff.
So as we mentioned, a Scottish love theme, just recently, the last
Love
couple of
scheme.
weeks. Love scheme. Sorry, what did I say?
A love theme.
Oh, I love. Well, it's a love theme as well. But so Heather Hawthorne Doyle, director, has done a ton of Hallmark movies, so knows what she's doing here. Gina Aziz, this is her first written credit. So very excited for her. And then starring Erica Durance and Jordan Young, who have done a bunch of these as well. Oddly enough, I've never seen any of their other Hallmark movies. But that's a thing. So there's a first time.
Okay, because I was gonna
So
ask you
yeah,
if like if Jordan Young is like Scottish and like his other ones, but since you haven't seen it, I guess like I'll
yeah,
save
I
that for
was
them.
kind of curious too. And he doesn't have, I'm just digging through. This might be his only sort of Hallmark credit, but I've got to imagine this, from what I understand, did fairly well and had a good sort of watching. So
Hmm.
I've got to imagine he's going to jump into others. But I mean, to your point, the Scottish accent, that's hard to mask. So like, I don't know if he's going to be sort of limited to what else he can do, but it's a tough one. Um, so I'm kind of curious. So we watched the trailer for this. I didn't know much about it. But I'm kind of curious what your initial thoughts were. And because I'm not going to say, thumbs up or thumbs down, but this was a lot different than what I thought I was getting into.
I 100% agree with you. Like, yeah, like I watched like I think it was like a 45-second like TV
Mhm.
spot, something like that. And, like, admittedly, it was kind of between like this and like another movie that was kind of close in
Mhm.
theme to the last like show that, or I'm sorry, the last movie that we discussed. And so I was just kind of like, you know what? I don't know anything about this. I'm not getting much of a read on the trailer, like plot wise. Like, let's just go for it.
Yeah.
And I was surprised as well.
I'm glad you did, because I tossed out, and I forget what the name of it was, but it was, like, football themed, and my only thought was like, "Oh, the Super Bowl's coming up." Full disclosure, I don't care about football or know much about it, but I thought maybe that's a fit. And then we're kinda past the holiday movies, and there's still some, like, Christmas movies coming out, but I wanted something new, but I like to kinda pick something that maybe relates to you or us or, and a Scottish love scheme doesn't really, because we're not Scottish. You're not Scottish. We've never schemed once in our lives. But it was new, and I said, "Hey, maybe we'll give this a go." And you picked it, and I don't think I've ever seen a Hallmark movie like this before. And
Okay.
I'm not saying if that's good or bad. We'll get into it, but like, it takes a pretty heavy turn towards the end. Like
Yes.
there's kind of inklings as to what's going on, but then like at a certain point, like I even turned to Leslie, I'm like, this just got like real heavy. And like to the point where I'm like a little like misty and like, oh wow, like this is not dark, but it's a pretty heavy subject matter. Um
Yeah.
so yeah, that was kind of a new little ride for me.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, like, and again, like, I don't want to dive in too much to it yet, but the whole idea of the title, even,
Mhm.
like, the TV spot doesn't really set you up for like what exactly this scheme is,
Yeah, yeah.
and whether or not this scheme is actually an inherent important textual part of the film will like leave for an actual discussion.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I was also like pretty shocked by like a couple of them. Not really. There are like dialogue scenes between like a couple of characters like later in the film. I'm just like, oh wow, they
Mhm.
decided to go there. I can dig
Yeah.
it.
So the setup is Lily is a marketing, advertising kind of guru living in the States. She works for a brewery, which happens to be kind of co-owned with her ex-husband. And we get the setup that they're recently divorced. It seems like they're
They're
on good
very well
terms.
adjusted.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's about to get remarried, and she's kind of decided this is my time to step away and pursue my passion of photography. So she is going to go with her mother, Kate, over to Scotland. Her mom has a pretty hefty Scottish accent, so we get pretty quickly that like she's going back, quote unquote, home to, kind of see her roots, with Lily, who's going to be traveling with her. Lily's father, Kate's husband, is staying back. This is like a mother daughter type trip, and they're going to go over and stay with oh shoot, Mari. Am I saying it? I hope that's it.
I believe it is. I couldn't quite
The
like pick
accent,
up,
right? Like,
yeah,
yeah.
pick up exactly how it's pronounced, but I think it's Mari.
Um, but it's Kate's best friend. So they must have known each other when they were growing up, and they've stayed in touch. So they're going over there, and we kind of get the impression that, they've spent a lot of time over there. Lily knows Mari's son Logan, who happens to run a distillery over in Scotland that is falling on hard times, behind on bills, all that
Some
sort
might
of
say it's a
fun.
small failing.
It's a small failing distillery.
Although
So
failing might be a bit much, but I just wanted to use it for the title.
exactly. Well, no, anytime I'm watching one of these and like I see like a past due bill or like, final notice, I'm like, it's a small failing. Like this is it. Like people get it now.
Uh-huh.
Um, so yeah, so Lily and Kate go over, and we get a few hints of what's potentially coming, right? Like
Mhm.
there's a conversation with Lily and her mom and her father, you know, and Lily's mom makes a slip of like, yeah, one last trip, and like, kind of implying that something's going on. But they set it up as like the divorce is final. Okay, we can go do this. Like let's get there.
Yeah, and a part of another reason why Lily is, I mean, not only are they visiting like Kate's like um friend and like family friends and all that stuff, But Lily is also going to photography school in Seville
Yes.
following this trip. So that's kind of like the next stage of her like career. She's very much kind of like moving on from the marketing world and then like heading into photography, which is like her passion.
Yep. And then, so what is it? If I remember this right, the plan is she's going to go to, Seville, but then go to, Barcelona.
Nailed it.
There you go. And like
A
just
Spanish love scheme.
photograph things, that's kind of her destination.
Yeah, I think there was like I remember there was like some pamphlet for a school. So it's like I think
Yes.
she's going to like an actual program for like 6 months or something. So yeah.
Um, so gets over there. We meet Logan. Logan has a son, Finn, who everybody in Scotland seems to be just infatuated with Finn. Like, to the point
Dude,
where when we first see him and Lily interacting, I'm like, is Lily going to start dating this like 11-year-old kid? Like, what is happening here at this point?
this I I don't even know how to like articulate this, but
Yeah.
like there is a lot put on the shoulders of this small boy to
Freaking
be like
Finn.
the charismatic center of this film almost.
Yep.
And I feel for him, I feel for the performer, but man, like I my question to you though, is Finn being bullied at
Mm.
school or is he the bully at school?
Oh, interesting. I would say Finn is probably being bullied, or he's like just does not connect with any of the kids that are there and is very much like a, young Shelton or something along those lines. Like he just does not relate to kids his age because he has to be like the matriarch of his family, because Logan, his father, is there. His mother has passed away. Logan's wife, unfortunately, is has met her demise. Um, and that seems to be like still fresh, and Logan is still definitely mourning, and there's a lot of conversation about it. But Finn is like set up. His grandmother is very adamant that like he's her favorite, of like anyone in the family. Lily, when first gets there, spends a lot of time with Finn, like to the point where I said like I thought they might be dating. But yeah,
Yo, she needs to like stop encouraging that kid from eating so much sugar. I am
a
worried
lot,
about that early onset diabetes. There's
a
so
lot.
many snacks.
Which, not to jump ahead, but there was one scene where they go and get ice cream. Not just Lily and Finn. There's other people there too. Like, but they get, what was it? It's some sort of like float that I didn't understand like how it's made. I don't know if you picked up on that.
Yeah, we looked up what it was. So apparently, and of course I'm not going to remember like the name of it,
Yeah.
but apparently like it's a type of like soda
Yes. Yeah.
that's like well, I'm borrowing the language from the website that we found it on.
Mhm.
Apparently it's a orange quote unquote sickly sweet soda that's like really popular in Scotland.
That's what I found too. And like it said, first time drinkers, like it's an acquired taste. Like you have to kind of get used to it. Um, but yeah, that's what I kind of, it's like vanilla ice cream mixed with this soda, like almost like a root beer float, but not,
I am so worried about that sugar. I yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Finn, he's gotta he's gotta keep up the energy with something. So, you know,
And
maybe
we
that's it.
also yeah, and I guess like early in the film we also learned that he is an avid like rugby player.
Yeah.
There's also like a dog involved and he's got to like walk this dog for like 2 hours. So I mean, I guess Finn is an active and he's an active kid.
Not to jump back to the ice cream scene, but I don't know why I never thought of Scottish people eating ice cream. Like there was something about that scene where I'm just like, this seems so odd to me. Like, not that Scottish people don't eat ice cream, but like, I think the stereotype is just like men in kilts out caber tossing and like eating haggis and like just doing the manliest of the manly things, not like sitting around a table with your buddies, like licking a cone.
Right, right. But we're in Hallmark, Scotland, so
Mm.
maybe that's the influence here. And to like go back to like kind of like Kate and Lily's arrival,
No, I'm gonna keep
they
bringing it to this ice cream scene, which was like 2 minutes. Like that's all I want to talk about.
it's an important segment to understand the text of the film. But they do eat haggis, and there
Hmm.
is a bartender wearing a kilt. So we do check those two boxes.
Oh, they like right off the bat, they like go hard on Scotland, right? Because we get the scene with Lily where it's the setup of why she's coming over, why she's leaving her job. And then we cut to Logan, who is picking up Finn from his grandmother's, right? And like walks in and it's just like, oh, he's done with rugby practice. He's having a wee nap, like just everything, just so you don't forget. Um, but so everyone's over there. There's a little bit of playful banter between Logan and Lily. We get the impression that, they've known each other for a long time. But I don't think there's never been anything there. They've both been married and that sort of thing. I don't think I'm giving anything away when, you start to get the impression that these two are going to potentially find each other. Um, but the thing I found off-putting isn't the right word, but she gets over there. This is supposed to be like her vacation, but she is, looking into photography and going to be switching that. Immediately gets roped into like being the marketing lead for this distillery that is not going well. So the whole deal is, I think Logan took over like within the last 5 years after their mother had kind of handed it over to the kids. They've been doing their thing. There's like another distillery nearby that is like their direct competition. That is like they're being Logan's and I should have written down what the name was, the distillery, but I don't have it in front of me.
It's
Um
Campbell's.
there you go. The soup people. That's why I kept so they're about to launch this new whiskey, and the whole idea is that it's aged in ice wine barrels and it's, got a different flavor and it's this big campaign. But this competing distiller is also about to launch their new sort of blend. And it's kind of a race to who can get it out first. And then we get word that, like, oh, the other distillery is putting theirs out and they're going to be out before us. And that's when Lily kind of gets roped into being the marketing lead for this distillery and like the new product, which
And specifically designing the label for the new like product
yeah,
they're putting out there. Yeah.
which I found interesting because I'd 100% get why they did this, but like she's the marketing lead, so she's the one coming up with like the ideas of how they're going to market it and put it out there, but she's also the designer that is coming up with like the label. Like she's doing everything. And just coming from like the advertising world, I'm like, no, this is like 900 people that do this. And it's funny because there's a scene where they're sitting at the table too, and they're like, well, the place that we have doing this isn't very quick or good. And they're like, well, is it too late to find somebody else? And Lily's very much like, no, there's no time. We can't brief anyone. And just knowing where I'm coming from, I'm like, no, you can absolutely call any agency right now and they will 100% destroy some designers next 3 weeks, making him work 24/7 to get this crap done. And like I
It's
started getting heart palpitations like watching it.
Man, I'm so happy you brought this up because, I have not been working in this world nearly as long as you have, but like I've been working like in this world for like a couple
Yeah.
of years now in a very different capacity I am not a designer. I
Yep.
don't know anything about any of that stuff. I just do like HR kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
But hearing them talk about how, oh, the original designer won't do any extra work without being
Yup.
paid for it, I
That
was
was
like,
the other thing. I'm like, yup, no.
of course they wouldn't. Why would anybody work for free? That's not what they do.
But on the flip side, just so I do staffing. So pretty much we get this work, it comes in, I have to figure out who on our team is going to work on it and all that. And like, there's constantly like, yeah, we'll do this for free just to kind of keep the business and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, everything in that scene was like very triggering. And I get it's no knock on the movie. I 100% get why you would be like, I'm not going to set up an entire agency. Like, let's just throw it all at Lily and she'll do it. No one's
Oh
going to know the
yes.
difference.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think that's a great point to kind of like just lay out the three different uh like dramatic arcs that are going on with this movie, right? Like cuz we have we have Kate who is returning to her home potentially for the last time due to some unnamed illness at this time.
yeah,
Then we have Lily who is searching for the next stage in her life. She's leaving like a past romantic relationship behind. And then we have the three brothers at the Campbell's distillery, like trying to like figure out how they're going to release their new product in time.
yeah.
we learn all of this in like the first 15 minutes.
It's a heavy, like, yeah, first 15, 20, like, and I think around that time, I don't know, we don't find out till later that, like, Lily's mom is, like, terminal. Like,
Mhm.
later on when Lily finds out, obviously, like, we get the full rundown. It's cancer, unfortunately, and it's pretty aggressive. So, but I think we find out early on when Kate and oh shoot, I'm gonna say it wrong again, but Maury, whatever the name is, and I apologize. They're kind of having a side conversation. Logan overhears it and then like pretty much knows that Kate is terminal.
I guess that's our fourth like plot arc, I guess, is the
Yeah.
fact that during this stage we also learn that like Kate and Mari are kind of scheming, to
Yes.
borrow a word, to like set up both Logan and Lily while they're there.
Exactly. So that's when I said like I've never seen a Hallmark movie like this, and also like it's gets pretty heavy. I think that's the name is a Scottish love theme, and at the heart of it, sort of, is like the Logan and Lily love affair, and the two moms kind of plotting to get them to go out to like dinner and stuff. Which, full disclosure, it seems like they're like hit it off right off the bat and like really enjoy each other's company, and like now that she's
Yeah,
going to be doing the marketing, like they decide to go out to dinner, like the romance aspect seems to flow pretty easily. And I don't know if
it
Kate Maury really needed to do that much.
it does seem like that the scheme in question is actually just like Kate lying to Lily about the address of a cafe.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Like you're right. There's a scene where she sends her to get a coffee and she can't find the place, and then Logan happens to be walking around and gets her, and like that's where things kind of kick off, and then from there they're just kind of off to the races, falling in love.
And the movie
Um,
does like cut back and forth between like Lily and Logan like hanging out, and then Kate and Mari like kind of like back at the
oh
house
yeah,
talking about how naughty things are getting.
yeah.
To which I'm like, oh man, are like do any parents like talk about like what they hope their children are doing sexually?
That scene, right? When so they go out to dinner to like talk about the marketing, but then like they cut back home, and you're right, and it's Kate and Maury, and they're sitting there like, oh, it's after midnight. There's no way this is like a work meeting anymore. Like this is definitely a date. And then Kate's like, I hope he kisses her on the porch when he comes home. And I'm like, I hope my mom was never sitting somewhere being like, I hope Joey makes out before he comes home tonight, you know?
I really hope second base is in Joe's like
Yeah.
evening.
Like
Yeah.
I hope Joe's getting a little dry humping in the station wagon before he comes home tonight.
Lord
um,
knows I washed all those socks for a reason.
yeah. um, so we can kind of get into the heavy part, which is
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
had alluded to. We do find out that Kate is terminal. And Lily doesn't really find out, I want to say, to like the last half hour or so, because
Mhm.
for the majority of the movie, she's working with Logan on like the campaign. And like the thing I do find interesting, and again, I 100% get why they did it. So it's not a complaint, but like in a normal setting, the timeline for her to launch this marketing, they find out that the other company or the other distillery is launching theirs. So it's like this huge rush. I think she had said, like, oh, we need a few weeks. And then it turns out, like, you have this week, you need it to be done by Friday. So, like, it's a scramble. They want to get it done. But then they're still going out on like dates and stuff. And like,
Oh, dude, I was just like, "Are you gonna work on this?" Like, are you?
exactly. Like, I've been in scenarios where I'm literally at the office for like 48 hours, if not more, straight, and like go home, shower, maybe sleep for like 2 hours, and then come back and like do it all again. And like on these tight timelines. And meanwhile, like they're off like doing whiskey tastings, going out on dinner dates, and like all the while talking about how like little time they have, but they're doing that while she could be back working, and like he could be doing like whatever the hell. The
Yeah,
ice
I
creams being had, like
we're going to rugby tryouts. We're doing it all.
exactly. Yeah. Finn has rugby going on and they all have to be there. That scene, and there's one other too. Finn obviously is the most important person in Scotland potentially. But there's
Yes.
a scene during the rugby tryouts for him where like Lily's there, Logan's there, all the brothers, the grandmothers, and Lily like cheers for him. and it's like this big to do of like, oh, what is she doing? Like this American, like isn't like Scotland and just the UK in general very big on like the hooligans and soccer and like beating the shit out of each other for their soccer team?
I was legit surprised based and like not only based on like that the hooligan like lifestyle that you're
Yeah,
describing, which like I get it, like rugby and soccer are two different sports. I'm sorry, football, excuse me.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but even like knowing what we know about the brothers leading up to then, all those brothers seem like they're like fuck boys that are totally down to have fun. And it's just like, why are you guys not so excited about this?
It was interesting why she kind of got shushed when she
Yeah.
was cheering. And even like I think his brother makes a comment of like we can't even hear, and I'm just like, what the fuck, man? This is like a rugby game, right? But I don't know. Maybe it's just the cultural differences. Um, was it Caleb? Caleb is the one with like the beard, the brother, I
So I think
think.
that's Rory, and then
Okay.
Caleb, I believe, is the youngest one.
Yes, okay. Rory seemed like the fun one. Like I feel like if I was Lily, I would be going for Rory. Like that's the guy I want to
Oh
be
yeah,
with. But
Rory's also got like Scottish Jack Quaid vibes too.
yes, yeah, yeah. Whereas Logan, I'm sure perfectly nice. He's got a lot like on his plate, just with
He,
like the passing of his wife. He's got Finn. I don't know. There was the scene like towards the beginning where like Lily made like a comment to Finn about how like, oh, she's gonna stick around and see his, stuff and whatever. And Logan is just like, don't you make promises you can't keep. Like snapped. And I was like, oh shit, Logan's like about to lose it here. So like I feel like Logan is under a lot of stress.
he's a
Like
little
for
wound up. He's a little wound
yeah.
up. And I'm actually kind of like glad that you like pinpointed that scene because like it is like abrupt and it seems
Yeah.
like a little aggressive. But I do think that like that tension and then also like later in the film, as we like move into like the conversation around like mortality and things, like those are I think the most interesting like dramatic points of the movie.
Hmm.
It is the fact that like there's a conversation after that happens in which like Logan kind of explains his motivations a little bit
Yeah.
more, and it is like, oh, okay, like this isn't just like an off character moment. This is like he legit is like trying to protect his son and like is
Hmm.
very like aware and cognizant of like his attachment and his feelings, probably because everyone in Scotland like loves Finn and like won't shut up
Yeah.
about him.
I mean, I assume he's on flags and there's like books written about him and like, online fan fiction of Finn.
Definitely some crests. He's got a couple of cons devoted to him. But yeah, no, I mean, like, I did really appreciate that aspect of the movie. Yeah,
Yeah. So jumping back to the whole Kate dynamic, pretty much Kate does not want Lily to find out about her illness because she wants this to be like a fun trip and they kind of rediscover their Scottish roots and she doesn't want Lily to worry. But at a certain point, Kate does kind of have an episode and passes out and is rushed to a hospital. And that's when Lily finds out everything. And it's also shortly after I think her and Logan have kissed. And then it pops up that like Logan knew. And Lily gets very pissed that like, and I kind of see Lily's point here, right? Like Logan knows that Kate does not have long. He obviously does not want to say anything to Lily because like that's not his place. But on the flip side, he is like having her do all the marketing and like taking her out on dates and stuff. And Lily's like reason why she's pissed off is like, hey, I don't know how much longer my mom has left, and you're letting me sit in an office here, like, not too much, but like design your logo and stuff, so we can get your whiskey launched. So I kind of get why she was a little ticked off at Logan at that point.
yeah, and there are some like back end like machinations that the movie does to like get Logan's like motivations to like seem okay. Like, there's a lot said about like how he is operating under the assumption that Lily does know about this, and he
Hmm.
thinks that like she is like just being like brave and like, about the whole
Yeah,
thing. It's a little bit of a contrivance, but like it's enough to like
yeah,
make him not appear like a total douchebag. Yeah.
for sure. Yep. Um, and that's when like this scene in particular did like Hallmark movies. I love them. I enjoy myself. I don't usually get kind of choked up, but there is this scene where like Lily goes to her mom and says like, "Hey, I know everything, blah blah blah." Like, Kate is in the hospital, she gets discharged, she goes home. They have this conversation and Lily's like, "I want to stay here with you. I want to spend as much time as possible. Like, I'm not going to go to Spain." And Lily's mom is like, "No, I need you to go. I want to like live vicariously through you. Go there, take your pictures, send them to me, and like it'll be like we're going together." And I'm like watching this and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, you got to go on this trip. Like, you got to go to Spain."
You gotta do it, Lily. No,
Like,
I mean,
it was like heavy and like
I
very sweet the way like
Mhm.
the actress who plays Kate, hang on, I should have her name in front of me. Joe Cameron Brown, which I don't think you can get more sort of Scottish than that sort of name, but like very good. I loved her. Like I thought she was great. And like that scene in particular, I was like, wow, like I'm getting a little choked up here.
Yeah, no, it's well, I think that in particular, what it works well about that scene is it's not like it's not like necessarily the type of scene that we see that's like, oh no, I've had a good life, you should have a good
Yeah.
life too. It's not really like that, which I think is like refreshing. It is
Yeah.
about like how like you going and doing these things and like me thinking about what you're
Yeah,
doing,
I
like
wanna see your
that's
pictures, and it's like I'm there, and I wanna see, like, this amazing stuff you're doing. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
100% right. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But, yeah, it usually is like, "I've lived a good life, you go do yours." But it was very much like, "No, we're still together, and I'll be a part of this if you send me the picture." So, you're right, it was very sweet, and I thought
Mhm.
really well done.
Apparently, Joe Cameron Brown was a dialect coach on a whole lot of movies.
I saw that too, like, anything where there's ever been a Scottish person, apparently she has been in the background, kind of advising. So,
Oh my gosh, 101 credits. I love
like,
it. Good for them.
anything. If you've ever heard a Scottish accent, like I've got to imagine she's on, just hanging around The Simpsons, advising like groundskeeper Willie. Like just um
Oh, man.
so it's all kind of out in the open at this point. Lily is reevaluating everything, has a conversation with Logan, like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I cannot finish up this marketing stuff. It's, there's too much going on." And Logan obviously gets it, but you can tell he's kind of bummed because it's like pretty much means the distillery's done. Then we cut to Logan looking at pictures of his deceased wife. Lily's looking at pictures of Kate. And like pretty much they're just both sitting in their houses looking at pictures of either dead people or people that are going to be dead soon. And like it's a little like morbid, but it kind of gives them the motivation to like do their things. And Lily just sits down that night and pretty much designs the whole thing, and that's it. Like she does it and she's done. And I guess she could have knocked it out in one evening if they hadn't been dating constantly.
I mean, like, what do you think about the logo that she designed? I'm sorry, the
Beautiful.
label.
So they did show like the original one, and the problem with it was too close to their competitor. I will say the original was very shitty. Like it looked awful. The new one, fine. I would have some comments if I was a creative director, but it was very nice. I thought the bottle they picked was a good one. I don't know, what was your critique?
Oh, I mean, I couldn't even begin to critique it, Joe, but I would say that like one like basically like the motivation behind the design that Lily makes is it's kind of like a reference to like their family history, which is like
Yeah.
it's like one of those things where it's like it's all very like pat and tidy and familiar, but it
Mhm.
is something where throughout the film they are kind of referencing the Celtic knot.
Yes. Yeah.
I cannot remember the actual like the full
I
name of
meant
this.
to look it up before we get on here, and I will say not to sidebar, but like I was very kind of curious and interested in the fact that like Lily made a reference when she bought it to like I always thought it was like a Christian or a Catholic thing. I forget what the word she uses, but like
Mhm, the
but it's
Trinity.
actually yeah, it's actually not. It comes from this, and I was like, that's really interesting for like a Hallmark audience, which I think a lot of people usually think is like, oh, these are just, Bible Belt, like, in who knows where, but like to actually make a comment that like, oh no, it's actually not from Christianity, it's this, I thought was like a really interesting choice to throw that in there.
Yeah, totally. Because it like Logan basically like breaks it down. It's like a tripartite like goddess kind of symbol
Yep.
is like
Yes,
what is said
exactly.
in the film. I have no idea if that's accurate. I'm operating under the assumption that it is. But yeah, like of a mother daughter crone, I think
Hmm.
is like the figures represented there. And Lily has like there's like a funny like little aside that they have about like the crone as like a figure. So there's like a little bit of a winking nod to that.
Yep.
But like I was totally like ready for like Lily to just like drop that knot onto the bottle and that be it. And I'm kind of happy they didn't. I was like, it was right there. You could have done it because of
Yeah.
the three brothers and everything. So I was happy like they didn't go that route with it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, 100%. Nope, it's a good call. Um, so the label's done. Kate, I think we've kind of just accepted that she's going to pass away over in Scotland. Like that's where we are. Her husband comes over, Lily's father, which by the way, I think George was his name. Loved him. Batshit insane. Like he brought a whole energy that we have not seen in this entire movie for like the last 10 minutes.
I my headcanon for what that guy's life was is that he was producing like B movie, C movie pictures in Florida. That's the vibe they are putting out there for that character.
It was, yeah, he was not intense, but just he had a wacky vibe to him. So the whole setup is Kate is from Scotland. She went to the States and married what did I just say? Reese. He is American. So like that's Lily going over and meet Logan is kind of like the exact opposite. But yeah, like his I think you 100% nailed it. He's very much like what's his name? Lloyd Kaufman or like Roger Corman-esque type person. And I'm not sure exactly what he did, but it was off-putting but still fun at the same time.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
like it made me want to just like I don't know, like every time he came on screen, I did like a little bit like, oh, okay, what's this
yeah.
guy's deal? Like I wanted to know more, but I was a little bit repelled.
Yeah. Um so the logo's done, right? The Lily knows there is this scene where like Finn and Logan's brothers set up these like dates all over the place where like they're sightseeing. The weirdest one I thought was when they go to the beach and it's Logan and Finn had set up like this little, or not Logan and Finn, Logan and someone or Finn and someone, right? It was maybe the uncle or something,
Yeah, one
set
of
up
the
this
uncles,
like
yeah.
little picnic with like a heart around it and stuff. And they show him kind of scurry away as Logan and Lily are coming around the corner and they discover and everything. But then they're sitting like maybe 10 feet away from them, like watching. Like
And it makes it a little strange because the other setups that we see happening, the people that set them up actually like hide, so they're
yeah,
like not visible. but but
but
now it's
except for
like,
the beach scene. Yeah.
oh yeah, maybe because it's like Finn's got to make an appearance. His adoring crowd like needs to see him.
Yeah, it could be like a mood setter, like, oh, this is perfect. If only Finn was, oh, there he is,
There he
5 feet
is.
from us.
Hi, Finn.
So they're falling in love or have fallen in love. And, there's this whole thing of she's going to go to Spain. So this isn't going to work out. But I think, and this is maybe my only complaint was like the end. I was a little confused on like what the decision actually was because Lily's going to go to Spain. I think Logan has kind of made a comment that, like, look, it's not that far away. Like, we can make this work. And, like, I think that's the plan. But then they agree to that. But then there's also a comment where, like, I think Logan has the weekend off or something. And Lily makes a thing of, like, I'd love to see Barcelona with you. And, like, I wasn't quite clear on, like, what this was being wrapped up with. Like, are they staying together and going to Spain and gonna like visit each other? Like, she's obviously not gonna be there forever, so maybe she's gonna come back. Like, I was a little confused, and maybe it was just me, but I don't know if you picked up on like what the hell happened here.
I cannot offer you any clarity.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
No, yeah. I mean, like, I was like, by the time the like movie wrapped, I was kind of like operating under the assumption that like, yeah, they're gonna do like long distance, and it is kind of funny because I think it might be Finn or it might be like one of the brothers, I forget who,
Yeah.
but if it is Finn, hey, wise beyond his years.
Mm.
They basically like make the comment like, it's 6 months. What's the
Yes.
problem?
Exactly. Yeah,
To
yeah,
which
for
I'm
sure.
like, yeah, that's very true.
It's valid, yeah, and I don't know how long it takes to get to Spain from Scotland. I know nothing about travel, so, maybe it's a simple one. So
Yeah,
so yeah,
it's a rail across the channel, right?
yeah,
I have no
let's
idea.
go with that. Is there a channel? Maybe there's some sort of channel
Channel.
system.
Mhm.
Um, I will say, and then we can kinda wrap up. My only other complaint, and I've never picked up on this before, but they did Lily so dirty with, like, her outfits and costumes and, like,
Oh.
it was the first scene where she's in Scotland, she walks out and, like, is wearing kind of these, like, white sort of sweatpants-esque, but, like, pants, and there's just, like, a white sweat like, she could not have dressed any whiter, and I don't mean, like, the color, I mean, like, Caucasian, like, just straight out of, like, an L. Bean catalog or, like, insanely Caucasian. It was
I don't wanna throw my partner under the bus here,
yeah.
but there was one purse that Lily had at a moment, and my partner was like, "Kinda like that purse."
It was, um, but that was only like I was kind of like, oh, geez, like and again, it's Hallmark. I don't expect her to be like gallivanting around in tube tops or anything, but like it felt like it aged her a bit. And everybody else was Scottish, so I just assumed this is the way you dress in Scotland. But I don't know. That was my only critique, and I've never picked up on like the outfits or anything they've worn in these movies ever before. I don't know why I
Sure.
was just taken aback.
Now, is this, like, the most recent thing that you've covered? Like, or have you done, like, other, like, contemporary, like, very quick releases?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've done like other, came out this past weekend and we're doing a show, but
Okay.
this is I want to say like the first in a while that has been this quick. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I was curious if it was, like, a, production house decision of, like, "We're
Mm.
updating all the costuming, here we go," or if it was just, like, this one particular film,
No,
so,
I've never seen like these sort of choices. And I will say, sorry. Um, all these I've watched a ton of these movies and I don't know if it was intentional or not, but it did feel like there was a certain undertaking or direction to have Lily and Logan be a little bit older. And when I say that, I mean, I looked up I'm the same age as Lily. Like, I think she's actually like 3 or 4 months younger than me. But in a lot of the Hallmark movies I've watched, it's very like early 30s or like, my career's just getting going and I don't want to get involved or, I've never watched one where I felt like, all right, there's like a mid 40s person like starting over,
sure.
which I thought was like an interesting choice. And I don't know if it was intentional or what, but like it was very like, oh, okay, this isn't like some young, whippersnapper trying to find love for the first time or, falling into love. This is like all right, they've both kind of been through marriages, and a lot of these, there is usually like a significant other passed away or something, but like I can't remember the last one I've watched where it has been like someone like in their mid 40s.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I don't know, kind of like what we've talked about, like, in some of the other, episodes I've been on. Like, part of the fun of watching these is, like, pinpointing, like, the differences in between, like,
Hmm.
the formula, and it is funny that you mentioned that because, like, that's another thing that my partner mentioned, is that, like, as soon as she saw, like, Lily, she was like, "There's no way this woman is having children." Like,
Yeah.
she was like, "That is, like, she's not, like, prepared for it," which, I mean, like, isn't, like, whatever, it's just, like, like, biology, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, part of, like, why that's interesting is because it does kind of, like, put an extra layer on her relationship with Finn,
Hmm.
and, like, while we kind of, like, joke about, like, how he's, like, the mascot of Scotland for, like, all these people, and, like,
Hmm.
frankly, like, I find, like, those scenes a little too, like, saccharine sweet, like,
Hmm.
cutesy. There is, like, something about it where it's like, okay, yeah, they're doing something new here. They're doing something different that is about, like, like, finding that love for a child through another relationship. that
Yep,
kind of thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 100% agree. So yeah, I just thought that was kind of an interesting, and and again, I don't know if it's intentional. I kind of assume it was, but I thought it was like an interesting choice, like you said.
Mhm.
I don't know anything else with a Scottish love scheme. Otherwise, we can kind of wrap up.
I mean, if you had to retitle this movie and
Oh,
take Scheme out of there, like, what would
I
it be?
the title is misleading because there is, the mothers are obviously trying to get them together, but like we talked about, the sort of romance aspect, with the exception of when Lily gets pissed that Logan knew about her mother being sick, and then obviously at the end where they're trying to figure out how she's going to travel and they're still going to be together. The romance stuff does not seem like it takes a lot of scheming. So I will say the title may be a little misleading, but I don't know. I feel like, do you have something in mind? Do you have like an idea? Like,
Oh man, I mean, like Scottish, horny, and 40. I don't
yeah, something, a fin to remember or something along those lines. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um, because it is, I mean, to what we talked about at the beginning, like I feel like the overlapping or the overarching theme is Kate passing away and Lily and her, spending time together, but then Logan. So, like, it's a heavy movie and there are moments of, sort of fun and whatever, but there is like a kind of like, oh geez, like even when I was talking about that scene where Lily and her mom are talking about going to Spain, I was like, dear Lord, like this is a heavy conversation, which I
yeah,
kind of appreciated for a Hallmark movie, especially.
yeah, totally. And like they do like the filmmaking does imbue it with gravity. Like it doesn't like soften it at all. Yeah.
For sure. Yep. All right, so I think we can wrap up. Let's ask the important question though. Of everyone in this movie, you're happily ever after. Who do you spend the rest of your days with? And you're gonna look like a monster if you pick Kate, but by no means is she off the table.
Well, it depends on how much money Kate has.
Yeah,
If she's got all that like Florida production money that her husband's going to leave to her, maybe Kate's the right
true.
choice.
Absolutely true.
Um, and for a while there, I was like, are the brothers like, are they in the
Mm,
running? I think they might be a little too high energy for me. And
yeah.
like, honestly, like, I think I just want to like stay at home and take care of Kate's family.
Hmm.
Like, no, I'm sorry, not Kate, Lily. I want
Lily.
to
Yeah,
stay at home, take care of Lily's house while she's out there advancing her career.
that's valid.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, I did have a thought too of Rory, just because he does seem like a real fun chap.
Hmm.
But you bring up a good point. Like, I feel like it would be exhausting. Like, I don't know if I could keep up with them. So yeah, I might go Maury,
Sure.
Logan's mother. Nice house. Things seem to be very relaxed. She's still kind of playful, and she has these fun ideas with Kate. I think that might be my go-to. I
She's got
feel like
like a well-known business that looks like it's going to enter its next
yeah.
phase.
Absolutely. And if it does, shit the bed, she's gotten out. So it's really Logan's issue and the rest of the brothers. Like, she's wiped her hands clean at this point. So yeah, I think I would go with her.
Now, are you going to make
Um
all the brothers call you dad?
what do you think they call me, like da or
Oh
something
yeah,
like that
yeah.
or whatever? Yeah, probably. I think I would enjoy that. Um do you watch any of the Love Island shows? Probably not.
I don't, but I'm
Hard
kind of
turn.
familiar with what they are. Yeah.
There's a couple. We just finished season 5 because we're up to date on the most recent, and there was a woman on there, Moira, who was from Scotland, right? Oh, I hope she wasn't from Ireland, and then I'm gonna feel terrible. um but anyway, every time things was always tings, and I loved it, and I would just love to be around people saying that. I really hope she wasn't from Ireland. I think she may have been, and I think I'm a terrible person, and now I feel bad, but
Hey, we both professed our ignorance for you the
yeah.
Isles, if that's even the right word for that
Exactly.
area. I don't
Let's
know.
just let's just stick with that. Oh, and I don't think we said a Scottish love scheme. Thumbs up, thumbs down. What would your take be?
Man, I really want to recommend it, but
Hmm.
it is like this. You know what? Yes, I am going to
Yeah.
recommend it because like I think that the scenes that you're talking about that like do have like some gravity, and there are like enough things that make this unique from like other kind of
Yep.
traditional like romance fare, that I would say, yeah, it's worth a watch.
But I 100% get what you're saying because I would agree. Like I'm a thumbs up on this too. But I would have trouble recommending it to someone that is just watching Hallmark movies for like the lightness of it, right? Like,
Yes, yeah.
and I've said it a million times on this. I love these movies. I really enjoy Hallmark movies, but there is a certain, kind of goofing that you can do sometimes where they get ridiculous. This is not that movie. Like, this is not a movie where you're going to sit down and be like, oh my God, like, I can't believe, like, this is so cliche. Like, it's,
Hmm.
like I say, it takes some heavy turns. So you kind of got to know what you're getting into. So,
Totally.
um, but yeah, to your point in the discussion we've had, like I did like how different it was from a lot of the other movies we've watched for the show. So yeah, thumbs up. All right, that is A Scottish Love Scheme. Back episodes, all that sort of fun, the socials and all you can find at smalltownfailingpodcast.com. Specifically, you can get links to Instagram where we post up and you can send in questions when we record. First one from your friend and mine. I don't usually say the names, but I feel like in this, I should. But our good friend Evan, who's been on many episodes as of late as well. Not a question, but I just want to say I love you both.
I love you too, Evan. It's so good to hear from you.
Which is beautiful. Yeah. And I love him. I love it all. It's very nice. And then one more that we got, and it is, if you were going to bring one food from America over to Scotland to introduce them, what would that food be?
So I
Where do
don't
you go?
know if like Marmite is a thing in Scotland like it
Oh.
is like in other like places of the UK,
Hmm.
but if this isn't, I'm kind of futzing with the question here a little bit,
Yeah.
but if they will throw Marmite as a concept into an incinerator and I can
Oh.
replace that with peanut butter, that would be
Mm.
what I would do.
Oh, peanut butter is like my downfall. Like I have Leslie and I have been trying to eat better, and especially in January, we try and do like a bit of a detox, and I
Hmm.
try not to like eat as awful as I usually do. Peanut butter, like I literally it's jokingly, but I am legit angry with her because she brought, and it's not even like Skippy, like the peanut butter that was sugared or anything. It's literally like the organic where it's nothing but just ground up peanuts. And I'm like, you can't
Totally.
bring this into this fucking house because it's like heroin to me. But peanut butter is a good one. I would potentially go for like some sort of Midwest, either like cheese curds, deep fried,
Mm,
or an Italian beef from Chicago. I feel like
sure.
that's a good one. But yeah, I don't know. There's no bad answer. I'd be curious like what their take would be on like our garbage food. Like,
Oh yeah, totally. Love to hear
just
it.
like a bloomin' onion from Outback. Like, here, what do you guys think? So, and then I kind of gave you a heads up at the top of the show before we started recording, but I had this amazing idea that I think I heard someone on Sirius XM mention that Kelly Clarkson does, of leaving a question for the next guest. So you'll be on the hook for that. But first, Sarah Dudek, who was on our last episode, The Recipe Files, left one for you. Not knowing who was going to be on or any of that fun, I have not told you who's going to be on the next episode. But her question was, if you had a role in this film, meaning, a Scottish love scheme, what would it be? Um, yeah. Like what,
Hmm.
sorry, not in the movie. So meaning not like you would replace the dad or you
Oh,
would replace
okay.
Logan. Like if
Man,
you
I'm
were
so
gonna,
happy you picked the dad like right away because like
no,
that was going to be my answer.
if you were gonna insert a character into the movie and you would play that character, what would it be?
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Um, hmm. Well, there was a sequence in which they were Lily and Logan went to a bar
Hmm.
like to kind of like have a dinner and like talk about the thing that quickly turns into a date. And there is a musician, like a
Hmm.
guitar player that's playing like, and they're the only people dancing. They appear to be the only
Oh, yeah.
customers in this bar. I would be, because this is most of my jobs I've ever worked, I would be the bar back cleaning up, making a bunch of loud noises, trying to get them to
Great.
leave because apparently it was like midnight at that time and I would be like
Right?
over it.
I was kind of confused. Like, I don't know how late bars are open over there or anything, but like post midnight, like, no. And especially like after I looked up how, their ages and they're all around Maine, I'm like, no, I'm not hanging out till like midnight. Like, absolutely not.
They get
Um,
that renewed, like, late midlife joie de vivre, they're
yeah,
out
I
ready to
don't know.
party.
Maybe there's a time difference and like she's just running, off of fumes and stuff. Who knows? That's a great answer though. That's really good. I would go with probably like at the distillery if there's a like the whatever they would call that, not the brewmaster, but like whoever is like some guy that like just scoops the grain out of like the mash tun and stuff like that.
Totally, yeah.
Um,
And,
even
like,
though,
maybe you take
yeah,
care of the distillery cat that's there, the Mauser.
yes, yep, yes. Have like one of those like like what the hell they call it? Not the smock, but the apron
Sure.
that's like leather
Oh,
and who
yeah.
knows? Yeah. Are you a whiskey drinker? I can't. I wish I could, but I cannot get into it.
So, I have a friend who, like, is very into, like, Scotch whiskey and, like,
Yeah.
is like, loves it, and if I can, like, sit down and, like, he can kind of, like, walk me through it,
Hmm.
I can do it then, and I find it incredibly enjoyable, but,
Hmm.
like, on my own or just, like, trying stuff
Yeah.
out, like, it's like, I don't like, I'm not into it enough where I can, like, burn enough cash to, like, be able to do that, you
Yeah.
know?
I wish like there's something so like impressive about like sitting down next to a fire with like a scotch and I'm like I want that old-timey like wearing like a cardigan and doing that but I just can't like it tastes like burning and death and everything and I'm not
Oh,
you
yeah.
know
I mean, like, I wanna channel all of, like, Nick Offerman's career, like,
exactly
yeah,
yeah
for real.
gin and tonic is like as old-timey as I can possibly get, but
Oh, totally,
that's
yeah.
that's about it. All right, so not to put you on the spot, but your question for the next episode and not knowing who is going to be here, what the movie is, like anything that would come to mind, and it can be about anything. Like it doesn't need to be specific to the movie.
Okay, it's gonna be a pretty basic question, but
Mhm.
what is something and you can decide how you wanna parse this out to the person. What's one thing in your in list for 2024 and one thing in your out list for 2024?
Oh, on your in list for 2024 and your out list. I like that.
And then
Um,
if they don't do that or they don't have that, they can give you something to put on your lists.
okay, perfect. Do you have an answer? What is on your out list for 2024? What's on your in?
My out list is I want to get out. I'm out of my bullshit. I'm trying to
Mm,
be more social, trying to like do more
oof.
things. I know it's tough. It's hard because I'm like very
Yeah.
introverted homebody, but I'm gonna do it. So that's on my out list, and then my in list is to do more puzzles. Simple.
Oh, that's very nice. I love a good puzzle.
Yeah.
That's my in. So I have kind of made. I want to go see more live music this year. Like it's something
Mm-hmm.
I loved, and I used to do a ton, especially when we lived in New York. And I just have kind of fallen off. So that's very much what I want to do. I don't know about out. I don't know if there's anything I'm ready to give up or anything I need to, but I'll think about it and then
Yeah.
have an answer on the episode. But
Yeah, I don't like I don't I don't really like to rely on the whole like resolution like out things,
mhm.
but there was just something about that where I was like, I want to feel like I'm living life. I'm getting out there, you know?
Yeah. Nice. Well, we're not far away. We can do this together. Although I do not want to get out more. I don't, other than
Yeah.
just going to the concerts. Yeah, yeah. But it's a good idea. I should. I feel bad because like I don't know anyone in our neighborhood, and I've lived here like 8 years, and I think my neighbor's getting sick of me, and it's. So it's a good idea. It's very difficult at this age to like meet friends, right? Like it's nerve wracking, and
Oh yeah, like I've like that idea of like ganging a new friend, like
oh.
that's kind of like gone for me.
And I don't know, like where I am, like we're in the Chicago burbs, and I am not a sports fan, and I don't care about football. And I feel like every conversation I get into or like I stand around and listen to is very much like about the kids' baseball team and then like what's going on with the Bears. And I'm like, does anybody fucking watch Vanderpump Rules? Can we just like someone? Is there just anyone here for me? And
Dude, you
it's
gotta like just start handing out like Bravo promo codes on like
yeah,
cards and stuff. Yeah.
and it's nothing against them. Like it's what they enjoy. I have
Hmm.
zero problem with it. I'm just like, I got nothing. Like I have nothing to interject, and I
Oh,
just feel
totally.
like I stand there, just like, yeah, this is not. Um, but
It's very
anyway, All right, so smalltownfailingpodcast.com. You get back episodes, the YouTube links, all the videos, all that fun. Cameo. I've gotten a few cameo requests as of late. Again, I think it's mostly from people who just search for the cheapest possible and have no idea what this podcast is. But yeah, get everything there. iTunes, Spotify reviews. Thanks to everyone that's done those. Andy, anything you want to plug or just, enjoying your life?
Yeah, no, I have some friends that are some video game developers, and
Oh,
they have a game coming out soon. You can get that on the Steam store. It's called Little Known Galaxy, and it's very much kind of like a throwback exploratory kind of game. The developer, their name was are Carbon and K. So yeah, I
oh.
want to plug that. It's a Little Known Galaxy.
It's on Steam's because I could just put a link in the show notes too. So
Yeah, yeah, it's coming soon. I'm not sure what the actual release date is, but I think it's either this week or next. I shouldn't
okay,
say that.
perfect.
It's coming soon.
It's sometime. All right, awesome. Well, Andy, thank you so much for doing this. I always appreciate that you're willing to hop on and ramble about this nonsense for an hour. And yeah, I think I am 90% sure I know who the next guest is, but I do not want to spoil it just in case it falls through. I don't know what movie we're doing, but we'll figure it out. And yeah, Andy, thank you again, and thank you everyone for listening. And we'll talk to you next time. All right, bye.